Welcome, everybody. Tis I, Dr. Keith Zaromsky, the Prince Provost of the Parkland, here to welcome you to Mineral Area College, and I will be the host of our little get-together this morning. But before we begin, I politely ask you to take out your cell phones and make sure they are silenced and put them away till the end of the program out of respect for our performers. Thank you for coming this morning to our Mardi Gras Jazz and Cake Day here at MAC. First, I'd like to let you know that our event today is sponsored by the Cozine Library, the Mineral Area Fine Arts Academy, and the Mineral Area College Music Department. Please give a hand for all three of these groups to give their time to make this event happen today. Plus, the best part of all here in a little bit, and the reason many of you are here, everyone gets free cake. Our first selection, as you were coming in and getting settled, was Tiger Rag. If it sounds familiar, it's because many colleges and high schools that have tigers as their mascot use it as their fight song. It was recorded and copyrighted by the original Dixieland Yaz Band, that's with S's, not Z's, in the year 1917. And in case you ever get on Jeopardy, Tiger Rag was the first million-selling record of all time. As a part of today's Fat Tuesday celebrations, we are being led here by myself as a provost of an institution of higher learning, so we're going to be giving you a little bit of education along the way. Jazz got its start in the first decade of the 20th century in New Orleans, a city known for its delicious melting pot of foods and a focal point for many different styles of music at the time. This is where the ingredients get together in the right portions, like putting together a good jumbo. It's like a great big bowl of that, and Dixieland Jazz is eventually what comes out of the kitchen and is noticed by the public. From those early days, there's one special part of the recipe that was established by Dixieland players and carried forward in every piece of jazz that has been created over the last 120 plus years, regardless of jazz style. The magic ingredient is improv or improvisation, the intellectual, musical, and emotional proficiency to create a new composition instantaneously based on the piece of music that you're performing at that same moment in time. So it's a very easy equation. Jazz equals improv. This concept is why jazz has risen above many other popular musical styles in our rich history and is honored with the title and distinction of being an American art form. Here's how it usually works with jazz, regardless of the era. The melody of the song is played, and then the chord progression or foundation of the song is repeated as a performer or soloist creates a new melody depending on how they feel in that exact moment. It can be simple, complex, on fire, laid back, happy, sad, melancholy, defiant, beautiful, wordy, spacious, bluesy, intellectual, humorous, and on and on and on. After the improv solo or solos have been conducted and concluded, the original melody of the song is repeated with some type of special ending. The beauty of this, the tune never gets old, and the audience or performer feel fresh improv material based every time it is created. On this next piece, we're going to ask our performers to come up with an improv piece and see what they can come up with on the fly as a part of demonstrating this. All right, let's hear it.
Go down the row. Yeah.
Down the line.
Kurt, so.
Down the row, I proclaim.
Not on this one.
Not on this
Not
one.
on this one,
Then
no.
you got, no, I don't want
A solo every,
Just solo.
every chorus.
That song you heard was written in 1902 and originally titled Bill Bailey, Won't You Please Come Home? And as it was played more and more over the decades, it was mistakenly transformed into Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey? But now, 124 years later, it is morphed into Bill Bailey, I swear, my mother was right about you. If you don't come home, I'm leaving you for that Brazilian helicopter pilot. Thank you. This song was one of the first big pop hits of our country and was a real crowd favorite. And guess what? Today is the actual Mardi Gras day for 2025. If we get in our car right now, go to Farmington, take Highway 32, go about 20 minutes over to Interstate I-55, and then just drive south. At about 6 p.m., we could be celebrating like nobody's business. I can write you a note to get out of class, but I won't, sorry. This year's, though, think about it this way. It's like New Year's Day parades mixed with Halloween masquerade balls, mixed with 4th of July fireworks, mixed with Christmas gifts, mixed with New Year's Eve partying, mixed with the atmosphere of winning a World Series, a Super Bowl, or a Stanley Cup, and of course, music, music, music everywhere, all day long. That is Fat Tuesday, and it encompasses every fiber of the city and its population of New Orleans, Louisiana. In fact, our next tune, which is from 1922, is a perfect little transition for that, a little tidbit that we call Way Down Yonder in New Orleans.
I will do two solos, so whoever wants to. One, two,
Our next subject is Mardi Gras itself. What do those words mean? Mardi Gras in the French language means Fat Tuesday. It is called Fat Tuesday because it reflects the practice of eating rich, fatty foods on the last night before you begin a ritual 40-day fasting period during the season of Lent. So it's like picking out on before you start a diet on a New Year's Eve for a resolution before it kicks in. Fat Tuesday is always the day before Ash Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Fat Tuesday and Ash Wednesday change every year because their dates are based on when Easter is observed. Easter will always be 40 days later than Ash Wednesday. Last year, Ash Wednesday fell on Valentine's Day, so you see Easter is much later in 2025. While some cities around the world, Fat Tuesday is celebrated on one specific day, like last Saturday in St. Louis and in New Orleans. Fat Tuesday is labeled Mardi Gras and is the culmination of what is preceded by weeks and weeks of Carnival. Carnival runs from January 6th each year up until the midnight of Fat Tuesday. This usually equates to about 6 weeks of partying or attending the University of Kentucky. Okay. New Orleans, a city that is, although firmly steeped in the tradition of the Catholic Church, added the idea of Carnival in 1827 as a way to stretch out the party season leading up to Mardi Gras Day. And now a classic tune from 1928, Basin Street Blues, which refers to a well-known street in the New Orleans Storyville district. It is still being recorded today, but is first made famous by the father of jazz, trumpeter, and cultural ambassador of the United States, Louis Armstrong.
Triplet pickup on beat 4. We do the repeat at A. The first time around the DS, we do not. Whoever wants to solo that. C. 500. 1, 2, 1, 3.
As I shared in the last break, the period between January 6th and Ash Wednesday, New Orleans has weeks and weeks of people having a good time with many parades and costume masquerade balls being celebrated almost every day and night. In checking for this year, the New Orleans parade schedule, and there are 80 parades that are just in the city alone, with 24 in the surrounding areas. Over 104 parades in this time period in this area is hard to fathom. So how does it work? Well, every parade is sponsored by a specific crew. So what are these crews? Crews, spelled with a K, are like sports teams made up of numerous people that compete each year to see who can create the best and present the best parade during the whole Mardi Gras season, mostly for bragging rights, less so on financial gain. These crews work year-round in secret, so other crews don't find out what they're doing, planning and building their parade floats. Each crew supports its own parade through private funding and money-raising projects. The larger parades can easily cost up to $1 million to bring everything to fruition. These parades are enormous, containing massive floats, bands and well-known celebrities as their guest kings and queens, and other celebratory decorations to go along. And one of the great noticeable things in these parades, they're not political. They're literally just massive walking parties going down the street that it's quite all right if you leave your spot alongside of the road and join in their parade, although to ride on a float will set you back about 5K. Each of the parades are large and represent some area of New Orleans on different days from January 6th to Fat Tuesday. It is not impossible to be able to watch a parade in that area every single day leading up to New Orleans, or leading up to Mardi Gras, as crazy as it sounds. One of the audience participation traditions when you go watch a Mardi Gras parade is the throws that are tossed out to people high above from the floats. The most common throws are strings of plastic colorful beads, doubloons, which are either aluminum or wooden dollar-sized coins with the emblem, the logo of the crew impressively printed on the face, or decorated cups and many, many other types of small toys. Here to give a short story on that part of the tradition is someone who used to live in New Orleans, is our own Dr. White. Dr. White, it says here, I'm supposed to let you talk and make a fool of yourself.
Make a fool of myself. No, I had a costume. I have one just like that, but it was blue, so I couldn't wear it.
We'll wear it on, please.
Thank you all for coming today. Back when I lived in L.A., you guys probably didn't think I was hip enough to live in L.A., but when I lived in L.A., Louisiana, in New Orleans, I was there for my master's degree at a fantastic music school, Loyola of New Orleans, and I'm just a person from around here and very traditional and pretty quiet, and of course I had my first semester in the fall, and then in the spring, I knew that the festivities were coming up after January 6th and these parades, so I picked one out to go to, all sorts of different neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are real cool in New Orleans, you know, they're kind of close together, but these huge floats, like you said, where they throw from is at least 2 stories tall. So, and I thought I'd been in some big parades. I was in Country Days, I saw that one, and the Deloge Labor Day Picnic. So you're just standing there. There's not really barriers to keep you. There's some barriers, but there's just all these people lined up, like you said, like out of 80 parades, and each one of them is huge, and they have these celebrity guests. And I just stood there as they started coming down. There's lots of bands. There's lots of just weird stuff, like a circus. And then these floats are huge, and they start throwing stuff. And alongside the trees are real beautiful, but you can go the whole year round. Anytime you drive down through any of the neighborhoods in New Orleans that a parade goes through, there's beads in the trees all year long. They just get hung up there. But they're throwing them out, and people are just going crazy, fighting over each other. And then I go, gosh, just thinking to myself how strange this was, and I'm not going to do that. And here they come, and then the next one, and beads and cups, and they're really good. They're not cheap. They're put together really well because they're trying to win the prize. And after about 10 minutes, I saw them, something dropped out of somebody's hand and fell down, and it wasn't a bead, it wasn't one of the cups or the doubloons. And then I had an out-of-body experience and jumped out of the line and started racing for it. I go, what am I doing? And I like hip checked some little 10-year-old girl into a trash can. But you know, I'm not like that. I turned back around and I could see her legs wiggling, so she was okay. And then it was just like piranhas feasting on that. But since I was a little bit bigger, my hand got on it. I didn't know what it was. I just wrapped my hand in, I held it up, and all these little kids were jumping around. And I made my way back to the line. And as I was walking back, I felt really guilty about what I just did. But then I finally opened it up. And then all my thoughts changed. It was a kazoo with William Shatner's face on it. He was the king of that parade, so I knew I'd made the right choice and couldn't wait for the next one to come down. That's my story. Also, I can remember on the actual day of, this is like every day. You can go to parades like that every day for however long. But the actual Mardi Gras day, my 2 years there, I left. And it's like leaving, like coming into the city, 4 or 5 lanes. It's just no movement whatsoever, and you know, and my wife and I were leaving to go, you know, town, and it's like you have all 5 lanes. You can go crazy, but it's like The Walking Dead coming in, and then so it is crazy. Everybody tries to fit in that town. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for coming.
And that 10-year-old girl was Louisiana's own Britney Spears. Thank you. Okay. So, why does New Orleans invest so much time and energy into Mardi Gras? And why do the police tend to look the other way? Unlike Leadington PD that'll pull you over on Flat River and not respect that you're the Prince Provost of the parkland and still give you a ticket. The French Quarter on Fat Tuesday is filled with all sorts of insane things going on and honestly laws being broken. Because it brings in revenue generated by visitors totaling over $1 million or $1 billion annually. $1 billion. Thank you for getting that 90s reference. The entire population of New Orleans more than triples in size during that last weekend of Carnival leading up through Fat Tuesday. To put that into perspective, think of a city around here. A local city tripled in size for 5 days straight. As the notes here tell me that if Mardi Gras was happening right now in Doe Run, alarmingly, there'd be 34 people there today. All right, time to have me sit down and play more music. So for a little change of pace, here's a little more down-tempo, mournful minor Dixieland song, another great classic from 1928 and from Louis Armstrong called The St. James Infirmary.
You guys are looking at last year's. Got it? No.
Yes.
We'll play the head twice, and then solos, and then play the head just once at the end.
The Mardi Gras cake derives its name from the Bible and the story of the three wise kings who travel afar to witness Christ's birth. The Catholic Church says that it took the three kings 12 days to travel the east to Bethlehem. This is where we get the 12 days of Christmas. King cakes are only sold from January 6th, which is the 13th day after Christmas, up through Fat Tuesday and no other time of the year. It is a tradition to have a small plastic baby somewhere in the cake that represents baby Jesus. Why is it hidden? It represents the three kings' journey to find him. A king cake is kind of a fancy coffee cake. It is usually decorated with the three Mardi Gras colors: purple, green, and gold, representing those same three kings. If you get the piece of king's cake that has the baby inside, then not only do you immediately become the king or queen of that party that you're at, but you also receive good luck for the very near future and in the year ahead. I know that we just put the cake out. We have some people starting. Has anybody found the baby in our king cake? Let's give a round of applause. As per tradition, I, as the Prince Provost of the Parkland, now declare her as the Queen of Mac Mardi Gras Day. Let's give her another round of applause. In the United States and Bolivia. One other thing besides the prize you receive for finding the baby, you're about to have a good run of good luck, so be prepared. Our next song is from the year 1917 and is called Back Home Again in Indiana.
At letter B, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candle light
And now it's the most exciting time of any concert, introducing the musicians. I changed the wording in here. But all of these folks, all kidding aside, have a very lengthy, interesting, and noteworthy resumes and very diverse backgrounds, but they do have three things in common. One, they all love good music, all types, all styles. Two, they love to promote the education of music as often as they can and to as many people as they can. And three, each person up here today, in some manner, is involved with our very own successful Mineral Area Fine Arts Academy. The Academy is housed at MAC, and for over the last 3.5 years has been involved in numerous classes, including private instruction, concerts, musicals, theatrical plays, recitals, gigs, parades, summer camps, professional artist clinics, and social events throughout the community, with many, many more being constantly added to the list. So here's our little plug for today. If you are interested in playing an instrument, almost every type of instrument to take, or vocal lessons, or being interested with some type of musical ensemble, or learning how to act or participate in some type of theater production, you have an opportunity through MAFA. That is happening 24/7 right here on our very own campus, and it renews itself every 8 weeks with new things being added to each session. Maybe you want to reunite with that old band instrument from high school, or sing again in a choir, or maybe you want to learn how to play the piano, guitar, ukulele, or cello, or maybe you want to join a bluegrass band or a classic rock ensemble, or act in the musical, or otherwise learn how to improvise like on TV. You can do all of that here at MAC through our Fine Arts Academy partnership. So if you are interested, or maybe want to talk or ask questions or see what is offering, please see Amanda Dement. Yeah, I'm going to keep waiting until somebody claps. Or over on the second floor of the Fine Arts Building, and would be happy to help you. So contractually, we're obligated to do this. Here are the actual introductions of this prestigious group who have been together dating all the way back to 9:50 this morning. So hopefully Yoko doesn't break up the group. On tuba is tuba himself, Kurt Bauke. On alto sax, Aaron Heft. On trumpet, Caleb Daughtery. On soprano saxophone, Austin Sykes. On drums, Nathan O'Neill. On vocals, where'd she go? Sarah Poley? There she is. On trombone, Dan Schnucks. Which, by the way, couldn't help it there. Our band room is named after him. And on keyboards, Dr. Kevin White. To which this podium is named. You wrote that check, right?
No, I wrote Garbage Dumpster.
Oh, Garbage Dumpster, okay. But before I introduce our last song, I would once again like to thank you for being here today and recognize the C.H. Cozine Library staff and other volunteers for putting this together for our Mardi Gras Day here at MAC. Let's give them another round of applause. And if you have not already done so, through this last song, please know that there is still cake available. Now, let's end with the most famous Mardi Gras Dixieland band song of all time, and I'm sure is being played somewhere right now in New Orleans at this very moment. Nathan, roll off. That concludes our event today. Thank you and have a great week.